Well, hello there, welcome back to my channel. This is the Unintentional ASMR Book Club. If you're new here, you're just in time for the bedtime stories. Tonight's book is called All the Broken Places, a novel. This is the third reading of this book. I will be continuing where I left off from the first reading. Let's begin. As our train entered France, however, I grew worried that our accents might give us away. Surely, I reasoned, the recently liberated citizens of Paris, shamed by their prompt capitulation in 1940, would react aggressively toward anyone who spoke as we did. My concern was proven correct when, despite demonstrating that we had more than enough money for a lengthy stay, we were refused rooms at 5 separate boarding houses. It was only when a woman in Place Vendôme took pity on us and shared the address of a nearby lodging where, she said, the landlady asked no questions, that we found somewhere to live. Had it not been for her, we might have ended up the wealthiest indigents on the streets. The room we rented was on the eastern part of Ile, the La Cité, and in those early days I preferred to remain close to home, confining myself to walking the short distance from Pont de Sully to Pont Neuf, and back again in endless loops, anxious about venturing across bridges into unknown terrains. Sometimes I thought of my brother, who had longed to be an explorer, and of how much he would have enjoyed deciphering those unfamiliar streets. But at such moments, I was always quick to dismiss his memory. Mother and I had been living on the Ile for 2 months before I summoned the courage to make my way to Le Jardin de Luxembourg, where an abundance of greenery made me feel as if I had stumbled upon paradise. Such a contrast, I thought, to when we had arrived at that other place and been struck by its barren, desolate nature. Here one inhaled the perfume of life. There one choked on the stench of death. I wandered as if in a daze, from the Palais to the Medici fountain, and from there toward the pool, only turning away when I saw a coterie of small boys placing wooden boats in the water, the light breeze taking their vessels across to their playmates on the other side. Their laughter and excited conversation provided an upsetting music after the muted distress with which I had become familiar, and I struggled to understand how a single continent could play host to such extremes of beauty and ugliness. One afternoon, taking shelter from the sun on a bench near the Boulodrome, I found myself consumed by both grief and guilt, and with tears falling down my face, a handsome boy perhaps 2 years my senior, approached wearing a concerned expression to ask what was wrong. I looked up and felt a stirring of desire, a longing for him to put his arms around me or allow me to rest my head upon his shoulder. But when I spoke, I fell into old speech patterns, my German accent overpowering my French, and he took a step back, staring at me with undisguised contempt, before summoning all the anger he felt toward my kind and spitting violently in my face and marching away. Strangely, his actions did not diminish my hunger for his touch, but increased it. Wiping my cheeks dry, I ran after him, grabbed him by the arm, and invited him to take me into the trees, telling him that he could do whatever he wanted with me in the secluded space. "You can hurt me if you like," I whispered, closing my eyes, thinking that he might slap me hard, drive his fist into my stomach, break my nose. "Why would you want that?" he asked, his tone betraying an innocence that belied his beauty. "So I'll know that I'm alive." He seemed both aroused and repulsed, and looked around to see whether anyone was watching, before glancing toward the corpse that I had indicated. Licking his lips, he observed the swell of my breasts. But when I took him by the hand, my touch insulted him, and he pulled away, calling me a whore, une putain, and broke into a run as he disappeared out onto Rue Guinemer. When the weather was good, I wandered the streets from early morning, only returning to our lodgings when Mother would already be too drunk to ask how I had passed my time. The elegance that had defined her earlier life was beginning to fall away now, but she was still a handsome woman, and I wondered whether she might search for a new husband, someone who could take care of us. But it did not seem that she wanted companionship or love, preferring to be left alone with her thoughts as she made her way from bar to bar. She was a quiet drunk. She sat in darkened corners, nursing bottles of wine, scratching at invisible marks upon wooden tabletops while making sure never to cause a scene that might see her exiled to the street. Once our paths crossed as the sun disappeared over the Bois de Boulogne, and she approached me unsteadily before taking my arm and asking me the time. She didn't appear to realize that it was her own daughter she was addressing. When I answered, she smiled in relief. It was growing dark, but the bars would remain open for hours yet, and she continued in the direction of the bright, seductive lights that dotted the ille. If I vanished entirely, I wondered, would she forget that I had ever existed? Alright, so that was part of that book called All the Broken Places. I hope you enjoyed listening to that reading, and if you do, give it a like on YouTube. Click on the like button right down there. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. And share it with someone who you feel would appreciate this kind of reading and would help them. Anyway, it's late and I have to go to bed, actually. And yeah, I wish you well and have a great night, good evening, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.